Hi, welcome to Blinkity Bloop. I'm Drew D'Amelia.
And I'm Nick Padula.
And this is a podcast where we talk about movies that came out recently. And let's just get this out of the way, Blinkity Bloop is also a band. So there's Blinkity Bloop, the podcast that talks about movies that have come out. And then there's Blinkity Bloop, the band that makes incredible music that you should definitely be checking out.
And I'd say the band is the most important part. So if you're going to praise us for anything, it should be the band. But if you're not a music person, that's okay. Just you can praise us for the podcast too. But band numero uno.
You should be a music person.
Yeah, because it's who doesn't like music?
Yeah. Not to say that this podcast isn't of
value
importance.
Yeah. It
feels like the wrong word to say equal.
About equal.
But equal.
We work hard on. Do we work hard on it?
The podcast is good, what we're making sure we're saying.
Right.
So, today on the podcast, we've got another grab bag episode.
Yep.
This is the third one where basically we have a bunch of movies that we've seen in 2018, either me, Nick, or both of us, and they're in this hat that I have here, this nice purple fedora that is cheap, and we're just going to take turns fishing out a movie and talking about the movie that we fished out. And I suppose this is just going to be the format. I mean, this is three in a row.
Mrs. Seelan and the powers that be seem to think that the grab bag idea is the most marketable way to do it, so I guess that's how we're doing it. I guess it's more fun and has more variety, but it kind of seems like she's doing a hands-off thing more than she already was, and she was already pretty hands-off, so it's almost, does it seem like she's detaching herself from us, like she doesn't think we're doing good enough and she's getting ready to sever us?
Oh, I wonder that constantly. I mean, I sent her an email saying, hey, so are we still doing the grab bag format, or is there anything different? Didn't even hear back from her.
Oh, that's worrying.
You know, I mean, we knew that we could always potentially be on the chopping block from day one.
I guess. So, I mean, is she busy with other projects? Honestly, it doesn't seem that busy around here, if you ask me.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't say that.
Okay.
It's
yeah,
true.
Sorry,
but
I don't
think either of us know fucking jack squat about Mrs. Seelan.
Yeah,
I don't know what's up with her.
I shouldn't judge or say anything unfounded.
Do you know her first name? I don't even think I know it.
Deborah.
Deborah?
You've said Deborah Seelan.
Her name's not Deborah. Is it Deborah?
I could have sworn I heard Deborah Seelan.
Deborah Seelan? That doesn't sound right. But it kind of does. There's no way. Debbie? Is Debbie?
I'm almost positive it's Deborah.
She doesn't seem like she'd have a nickname. But I don't know anything about her.
She's probably one of those professional types that only wants you to refer to her as her given name, and if you try anything else, she'll be bothered.
I don't know. We should figure that out. I should email. I guess I shouldn't email. Excuse me. What's your name again?
You don't wanna double tap with emails because you'll start to seem desperate. And if we're anything, it's not desperate. You know.
I don't think we would even be able to call her by her first name, though. I mean, does she want it? I mean, I've called her Mrs. Seelan.
I haven't.
I just haven't bothered to learn what her first name is.
If we were to call her Deborah,
I don't like it.
How she'd react.
Well, the problem is we cannot confirm that's actually her first name.
It's true. If we emailed her without confirming it was Deborah and say, "Hi, Deborah," we'd be fucked.
Yeah. Or not.
You know what? She might not even read them.
She'd care.
We might be in the spam folder.
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's an interesting point that you raise. We could be, walking on, what do they call it? On our last legs.
Thin ice.
We could have only one single leg left, and then we'll be legless.
Oh man, yeah, that would be bad if we only had 0 legs.
Actually, that would definitely be bad for the band.
That'd be pretty inconvenient.
Yeah.
Wait, are we still talking like figuratively or literally now?
Well, I mean, no, we literally are going to continue to have our legs, but genuinely, I mean, we need this podcast.
Right. Yeah, we do.
Anyway, with those pleasantries out of the way, why don't you... I want to mix these up a little bit myself.
Yep.
But let's get you picking a movie here.
Getting into the old hats. Calling it old already, even though we've only done this, 4 times? 3 times?
3 times.
3 times.
It's definitely an old hat, though.
Yep. Okay. So, wrestling around, and let me grab a little slip. Let's see. So, this movie, oh, wow. I mean, if you're looking for a solid horror film, look no further than this. This
excited.
Is legendary.
Oh, man.
I don't usually get scared very easily, but this terrified me. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I was pulling my shirt over my eyes in fear of all the tension and terror.
I'm ready for the spooks.
This was The Bleeding Edge.
Hey, actually, I mean, that is a kind of scary movie, wouldn't you say?
I didn't see it.
Tell me about it.
Well, The Bleeding Edge, from what I can gather from when I passed by it on Netflix, is about medical stuff.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
And, the dangerous, I don't know, how medical equipment improperly used can lead to unnecessary amounts of death and suffering.
Yeah, basically. It's a solid documentary that's just saying, hey, you know what? Sometimes in the big old medical community, we got some no good peeps that are saying, hey, we like money, so we're going to do things that are not in the best interest of people that need help. You know, I feel like there's always stories like that to tell of just people that make decisions based on money instead of the well-being of others. And this is just another solid documentary that's pointing fingers at people. And it's upsetting. Probably one of the most upsetting movie-going experiences you can have because it's just showing real suffering. People's lives that are being ruined by people that just wanted to be able to afford a longer vacation, pretty much. So, yeah, it sucks. I couldn't tell you many of the details because I just kind of watched and went, oh, that's bad. Oh, that's no good.
Oh, no.
Left and forgot everything, so I can't even be helpful. It's like, yeah, so you saw that movie? Does it make you want to make better decisions about certain products? I don't even remember.
Was it about Big Pharma? Kind of how the medical corporations kind of use medicine as a commodity and only dish it out to the wealthy. And
I believe it was about implant things.
With tits?
No. There's more implant things than just breasts.
Ass? Face?
Medical devices that you would use. I think it revolved around devices. And they were no good.
Like a pacemaker?
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
I can't...
Artificial leg?
I can't fucking tell you what they were. I don't know. I forgot. Because I'm a bad moviegoer. Or maybe it wasn't good enough documentary. I don't know.
I mean, you're usually pretty analytical, so were you sleepy or...
No, I will tell you about my theater-going experience, because I know this was Netflix.
Yeah.
But I saw this in a movie theater, because at the time, I didn't know it was a Netflix movie.
Yeah.
And I was just in a place that shows all sorts of different unique movies, and went, The Bleeding Edge, okay, let me watch that. I go into the theater, never been in a theater with less seats. There's 3 rows. Not even.
That's tiny.
Okay, well, this is going to be intimate. So I watch it. And for some reason, I stay for the end credits. All the way through to the end credits. And the very last thing I see is the Netflix slogan. I'm like, fuck, what? I could have seen this at home.
I didn't have to leave.
I mean, it was an experience, though. Seeing a movie like that with a very small group of people. It felt like I was part of some sort of a focus group.
Huh. Maybe you were.
Maybe I was. I don't know. Well, The Bleeding Edge had already released on Netflix at that point, so that'd be a very bad... We learned what's wrong, but it's too late.
Save it for the bleeding edge, too.
This one fuck saw it, got upset, and immediately forgot everything as he ate pizza.
Maybe we should rethink it. We can't.
But it was a solid, oh, I don't like that kind of movie, you know?
Huh. Those are fun.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. Absolutely
They're upsetting.
not. Yeah.
But it's nice to feel that upset.
It's cathartic sometimes.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it's almost overwhelming because you know that there's so many stories that can be told along these lines of these long, awful uphill battles to be fought in order to find justice in the world. And it's one thing that I can't even remember these 3 stories. Mm-hmm. It's another thing that there are probably a bunch of stories I didn't even have an opportunity to know and forget about.
Yeah.
So that's the real problem.
Your forgetfulness?
There aren't more documentaries that I can see and forget about immediately.
I mean, yeah. I've seen a number of Netflix documentaries that I was just like, wow, this is so profound. I can't believe this part of the world hasn't gotten coverage before. And then later on, it's like, hey, what documentary did you watch? And I name it, and they're like, what country was it about? I don't remember. Somewhere not America, maybe? I don't know.
It sucks because you want to be able to be an activist for every wrong that needs righting, but you just can't. And it's almost doubly upsetting, this movie, because not only is it bad, but after a while you just kind of leave going, I'm not going to do anything about this. It's a perfect downer movie. You feel bad about the world and yourself.
Great.
Yeah. So highly recommend it.
Perfect.
My turn to pick?
All right.
Well, let me tell you, it's a real coincidence that I'm picking another movie that just makes you feel really down about the world and about yourself.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Mamma Mia, here we go again.
Oh, wow. I did not see this, another one.
The
We're
amount
0 for 2.
of gunshots I heard in the theater of people just taking their lives when I was just wading through blood and bone on my way to get some popcorn.
Oh, man, it's like a battlefield in here.
It was a real mess.
Oh, jeez, wow.
Did you see the first Mamma Mia?
I've seen clips, but it was too painful. Even as a kid, I was like, I don't want to see this. This looks like crap.
So I knew that it was on Broadway, and I knew it had a movie, so I assumed, okay, so there must be something to this. I hadn't really heard of ABBA at all. I don't even think I originally knew that it was necessarily an ABBA musical, but
Right.
I went, all right, so it must be good. And though I was naive, I haven't seen the Broadway version of it, but the movie version of it, oof. It was just real cheesy, and not in a fun way, in just kind of an embarrassing and frustrating way where you feel like your time is being wasted, and it makes you angry. And I was sure, okay, so Mamma Mia, here we go again. It's gotta be even worse.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. They did all the biggest ABBA songs in the first Mamma Mia.
Oh.
And now, in the sequel, they're either going to have to repeat all the songs they already did or go with second-tier ABBA songs.
Oh, man.
And given ABBA has a large catalog of songs, but still, it's not going to be the biggest hits.
It's not going to be like Dancing Queen.
Yeah. So already, that was problematic.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, I heard that this was a prequel.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, all right, well, one, if it was a sequel, nothing about the first Mamma Mia story made me go, I need more. What else happens? But I definitely wasn't thinking, I need to know more about this specific story. Give me a prequel. Where'd these characters come from?
Also, if it's a prequel, why is it Here We Go again? Shouldn't it just be Here We Go?
We is referring to us because we're going again, but how would you do the reverse of that?
There we went.
We're going back in time. But yeah, this was a much better movie than the first one.
Huh.
And I'm shocked. I'm not saying it was great, but I must at the very least say What's her name? Lily...
Collins?
No, she's an actress, and she was in this movie, and she was in other movies.
Wasn't she in Baby Driver?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, the girl in Baby Driver. What was her name?
Lily. Something with maybe like a S or a T. I don't know. There's a lot of S's and T's.
No, come on, I can do this.
Lily.
Hold on, she was in Darkest Hour. You know who I'm talking about. She was.
Yeah, I know her face. I can picture her, but the name is eluding me.
Or is Lily the last name? I was thinking Evangeline Lilly, but that's not it.
No.
Lily Marks, but I feel like that's...
I think that's a person we know.
Yeah.
Lily Tomlin. No, that's an old lady.
Lily Garry.
Lily.
Okay, I'm gonna cheat.
Okay.
I need to know this.
Yeah, it'll haunt you otherwise.
Who? Here, Lily. Oh, yeah, I put Millie. Lily.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Lily. It's not helping me. Ah! Mamma Mia 2. Come on. Show me the Lily. Come on. Lily James.
Oh.
I was going to say Lily Garry, and that was actually
James.
weirdly close to where I needed to be.
A little bit.
Lily James was great.
Now you know.
I really like Lily James as an actress, despite the fact I completely forgot her name.
You got the first name.
I did. Although I doubted that it was the first name, I thought it might be the second. But she is so charming in this. She's just really fun to watch. And she's not always like that necessarily. I mean, she always has a presence about her, but she was just particularly effervescent in this. It was magnetic. And it was very attractive, I'll say. It was definitely... You can understand why in the movie a bunch of people wanted to sleep with her.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
So, was this Meryl Streep's character's younger self?
Yeah, and at first I thought, that's weird. Because they didn't seem like they looked like each other at all. And there were a bunch of other characters. Basically, there's 6 characters from the original Mamma Mia that have past versions of themselves, so they have
Okay.
younger actors and actresses playing them. But I had a little downtime where I was waiting for public transit, and there's just this big Mamma Mia Here We Go Again poster. And all the younger versions and the older versions are on the poster.
Together?
Yeah. And so I was just staring at it. And I was just comparing the young and old faces. And I wound up realizing, wow, this is actually very, very good casting. And I even think Lily James does look like a younger Meryl Streep. I can see it. I can see how Lily James would age into Meryl Streep.
Interesting.
I think it was exceptionally well done. I really do.
My question is, with the poster, if they're all together, is there some kind of like X-Men Days of Future Past thing going on?
Don't think about it.
Okay.
It's very confusing. I have to point out one other thing about the poster, though, that did bother me.
What?
Because I was staring at it long enough to notice that everyone is smiling and looking at you, looking right into the camera, except 2 people.
Oh.
2 people are just looking at each other like they're having a good laugh among themselves. And it made me so mad. Like, look at me! Look at me!
Why are you trying to be different?
It's not even the movie. I'm like mad about the advertising.
What are these 2 assholes talking about?
All right, what are they talking about?
They're
That's so important
conspiring.
that they can't fucking look at the camera like everyone else. What makes them so special?
Like the guy taking the picture of the whole cast, like they were looking away at and then he just ran out of film, and they're like, we could get another roll of film, and he's just like, no, we have to go with this one. We don't have any more time for production stills.
We could easily Photoshop. I mean, we have a lot of Photoshop people in Hollywood.
That would be dishonest. At Hollywood, we pride ourselves on our honesty.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what happened.
Yep.
But Lily James carried the movie. I mean, I'm not going to bother exactly explaining the plot, but, you know, it basically... it was a prequel to the first movie. It explored things you didn't think you wanted to see. And technically, I didn't leave the theater thinking, wow, I needed to see that. But ultimately, it just felt a lot more charming. It didn't feel like as much of a waste of time this time around because I guess there was just more fun happening. It's hard to put into words, but I think in the first movie, characters weren't necessarily having fun. It kind of felt like they were going through the motions. There's something about this movie, and I definitely think Lily James had a lot to do with it, where when characters were singing and dancing and going through things, you really felt a different kind of energy. You really felt like they wanted to be there, and that helped a lot. It was definitely not the most fun musical, but it was fun because you could tell they were having fun.
The question I have is, you mentioned the beginning you were worried that it was either going to be repeating music or ABBA's shitty music. So which one was it?
The thing is, I wound up listening to ABBA's greatest hits. Mm-hmm. They definitely have enough great songs to flesh out 2 movies, maybe even a third one.
Oh, okay.
So it was second-tier hits technically, but they are still definitely hits. Definitely songs that people should be familiar with if they've heard enough of ABBA. The thing is, though, there were 2 songs that I really wanted to hear. If it wasn't for the Nights, I think that's what one of them is called. And then the other one is As Good as New. I'm pretty sure what that's what. Obviously, I love these songs because I can't remember their names. But that's what I was hoping. That's all I wanted out of this movie is just sing those 2 songs.
Yeah.
They didn't.
No. Maybe Mamma Mia 3.
I mean, a boy can dream. I never thought about that, but yeah, why not? Let's do Mamma Mia 3. And I should audition for it.
There you go.
I want to be in Mamma Mia 3.
You could be young Pierce Brosnan.
I'll be old Pierce Brosnan.
After he dies.
But I want to be singing one of those songs.
It'll be Meryl Streep's last movie before she passes.
I'm going to make that my new goal. I didn't think about it, but there will probably be a Mamma Mia 3. There could be.
I mean, judging by, I assume it's doing good at the box office, so.
I'm sure. I mean, fans of the first Mamma Mia are definitely going to like this one, and people that hated the first Mamma Mia could potentially like this one. I mean, I guess you could say I hated the first one.
Yeah.
It felt like a big old waste of time. The sequel, I'd casually watch it again.
Oh, wow. That's pretty impressive how they step it up so much.
Yeah, it's weird. It didn't even feel like they did that much. It didn't make you want to die.
Oh, that's always nice.
What if we made a movie where you don't want to die?
That's insane.
Here we go again. But yeah, it's a fun, sexy romp.
Was it sexy?
I mean, technically. I mean, it's about having sex when it comes down to it, really.
Oh, yeah.
In the most disappointing way possible. But yeah, I guess that's what it's about.
Did Stellan Skarsgård whip his big Swedish dick out?
Who is he?
He's the old guy from Thor. And he was in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh.
He usually plays bad guys.
I think he played, I'm pretty sure he had a fat twin in this.
Huh.
For a little comedy gag, and I think he played himself in a fat suit.
Oh, interesting.
And I thought that was just the actual actor at first. I went, oh my, all right, well, that didn't work out for him. But then I realized, he's got a twin. Okay. That's fine, I guess.
All right.
But yeah, I don't know. It also had Meryl Streep was dead in this.
What?
Yeah, she wasn't alive.
Did she die in the first movie?
No, she just died between the movies. We don't know how, so maybe she choked on a breadstick or something.
Wait, I thought I saw her in the...
Oh, you did?
On the poster.
Yup, she's there.
What?
I'm not going to explain it.
Then how does she show up? Is it a flashback before
Did I
the
say she
further
showed up?
flashback?
Did I say she was in the movie?
I was assuming because she was on the poster.
Yeah, you'd think that, wouldn't you?
Wow. That if she straight up wasn't, that would be. It's just a photo of her, and she's got top billing.
I mean, there's definitely a photo of her at the very least in the movie.
All right, well, I guess that counts as top billing worthy.
But she's definitely very dead.
Huh.
Lily James is mostly the portrayal of that character in the movie, like 90 to 95%.
Wow, that's
perhaps 100.
I feel like that's a bold choice because Meryl Streep was such a big part of the first movie.
Yeah, I'm not completely sure why they did it. All right, I'm going to spoil it.
Okay.
Meryl Streep shows up like toward the end for one scene as like a ghost.
Did she fake her death?
No, okay. She's dead. I said she was a ghost.
Right, no. Yeah.
But I don't know, because at first I thought, all right, Meryl Streep had better things to do. She didn't want to bother to be in this movie, or maybe the movie couldn't afford to have her back. But then she was actually there for a scene, so I don't know, maybe she had limited time, or maybe they just thought it'd be best to have her character dead. And I gotta say, it actually worked toward the only emotional moment that I feel worked in the Mamma Mia universe. Is her death actually did lead to something a little bit beautiful, and it was surprising. You just sort of watched the moment unfold at the end and went, it's weird. It's like I'm feeling something.
Make it stop.
But yeah, it kind of was earned, which is weird.
Wow.
It was very weird that a movie like this would have a moment like that and it would kind of land. Oh, Cher was in it.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing her in the trailer.
She basically came in when, I'm your rich grandma. And now I'm going to sing a song. And then she left.
Okay. Isn't she, like, younger than Meryl Streep?
I don't know. Why is Meryl Streep dead, but her mom isn't, apparently?
She had bad health issues that weren't hereditary.
Cher didn't choke on a breadstick. Cher knows how to eat her breadsticks, if you know what I'm saying. She likes Italian food, is what I'm saying.
Yep.
Anyway, would you like to pick?
Sure, yeah.
All right.
Totes.
There you go, buddy.
All right, let's get on in there.
Well, be careful, man.
All right, well, slowing down and going a little too crazy.
You know your doctor said not to laugh like that.
Yeah, I know. It's cutting down years of my life. All right, what do we got here? Oh, Lord have mercy. This is a romance, the likes of which you can't even imagine. Like, Romeo and Juliet looks like a fucking steaming pile of shit next to this masterpiece in romantic drama and comedy.
Well, tell me what it is, friend. I gotta know.
Of course. Robin Williams, Come Inside My Mind. First movie I've seen that you haven't. I think this is a cause for celebration.
Well, that's not true, because I think the first
recently.
grab bag, right? I thought there was, I don't know, maybe not.
In the past two, I guess, there...
We've only done 3, Nick.
Okay.
How long do you think we've been doing grab bags?
It's felt like years.
But anyway, congratulations. Yes, this is a movie that you've seen and I have not.
All right.
Now, Robin Williams, I tell you, I get choked up just thinking about his death. No, for real, though. Robin Williams was a great talent. And, I can't say the suicide was surprising exactly, because that's what suicide is. You know, it just always... When do people kill themselves? You're like, that seems about right. Like,
good.
Yeah, like, right on schedule.
About time.
But, yeah, it was a bummer. I don't like getting into celebrity culture, really. And I feel like there are probably a lot of great talents like Robin Williams that just weren't discovered. But regardless of what could have been with other people, what we saw from Robin Williams, I think it was definitely spectacular.
It resonated a lot.
Yeah, I don't know him as a person, but as a performer, I think he did a lot of great work. And from what I heard about him as a person, he seemed to be a pretty swell guy. And it sounds like he had a pretty big dick.
The documentary it painted him with a more complicated brush than one might be used to. Because on the outside, he seems like a fun-loving guy. The only time you sense an issue with him is during his stand-up when he got really honest about needing heart surgery. And I was like, oh, well, I hope he's okay. But the more you learn about him, the more you realize he really suffered from a lot of substance abuse-related issues. And the movie does a really good job using his voice to tell most of his own story. You have interviews with people like Billy Crystal, David Letterman, Steve Martin, a whole lot of comedy names, a whole lot of film names, and they all helped create this image of him that's more nuanced than just the goofy, fun guy that played the genie in Aladdin.
That's good. I'm glad, because, I want to know about him, like what he was actually like. But it's almost problematic because would Robin Williams want us to know that nuanced picture of himself? That's the question.
I think he would, because in interviews you hear from him, he's giving these secrets I've never heard before to an interview that will become public. And he talks about his struggles with cocaine, how he was snorting cocaine with John Belushi on the night he died, and from a cocaine overdose, and how that made him want to go clean for a while. And these are things I never heard before that just add a whole layer of, like, it doesn't make me like him any less. It doesn't make me, like, be like, oh, Robin Williams is just a fucking drug addict. Like, some people might think that, but me, it just shows that he was struggling and he wasn't able to find the right outlet.
I mean, what is the right outlet? Maybe yo-yo championships?
That was probably it. If he just got into yo-yo, he probably never would have developed Parkinson's.
And then there's probably some people that are doing yo-yo championships that are suicidal, and maybe they just gotta...
do comedy.
Yeah, they gotta give up the yo-yo.
Yeah.
Or maybe they have to do gardening.
It's anything's possible.
It's pretty complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. But there were some really, like, heartwarming moments, like seeing him perform for the troops at the USO show, seeing him interact with people with disabilities so he can get into the role of a doctor that works at a mental institution. Like, he was really empathizing with this kid that suffered from Tourette's, and seeing, like, the heart in him was just so beautiful. And, like, I knew he was a good guy, but this added extra goodness onto it along with the less good stuff. Like, it just makes you love him even more, even for his imperfections. When he told a good joke, I was laughing hysterically, and then it hits me again as I'm laughing that the guy I'm enjoying the joke of died, and moments later I feel like tears in my eyes, and at one point it got to a point where I was just straight up sobbing, and I was glad I was the only one in my house watching it because it would have been really awkward, like, Nick, what's wrong, what happened? I'm just like, I love Robin Williams. It's just like, our son is weird.
Now, if we saw it together, do you think you would have sobbed right in front of me?
It may not have been as intense, but I think tears would have come out.
But maybe it's good that you saw it alone so you could get the full sobbing experience.
I think so. I think that was a nice, healthy cry.
Sobbing Williams, if you will. Oops. But I think I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
And I do like that it's nuanced, because you said you liked him anyway, despite some of the things you learned about him. And I feel that that's what makes it easier to like someone, because as a celebrity, you feel like you don't really know them. And then when you start to hear, I don't want to necessarily say the negative, but things that aren't just directly positive,
yeah,
you start to feel, okay, I'm getting a more honest image of who this person actually is. And they start to seem less like this fantasy figure in the zeitgeist and more like an actual person you could potentially connect with. I mean, regardless, we're never going to meet him.
No.
Unless something real weird happens. But, well, I guess if you believe in heaven...
well, if you believe in heaven, he wouldn't be in it because he killed himself.
If you believe in a different heaven...
If you believe in a heaven that isn't as, like, shitty and judgmental.
Or fucking, I mean, if you believe in hell...
We can go to hell and hang out with Robin. Oh, speaking of which, I shouldn't tell a joke of his that I do it in Injustice.
Yeah, that's good. You'd go to hell if you did.
Yeah.
So maybe you should. Then you can... So what brings you here, Nick? I told you joke.
I gave you credit for a joke, but then I told it badly. Oh, man, you're going in the ninth circle of hell, right next to Judas. You're getting chewed to death.
Well, whatever. You know what? We'll let his joke speak for itself, I guess.
Yeah.
Or not.
Okay, you know what? Okay, so the context is Robin Williams, when he was sick and he had to get heart surgery, him and Billy Crystal would have these funny fake phone calls where they pretend to be different people. And there was one where he was pretending to be Ronald Reagan. And he's like, I'm just calling to tell you I'm in heaven. And Billy Crystal's like, oh, wow, how is it? And he's like, well, it's really hot and there's a lot of fire. And Billy Crystal's like, you know what? I don't know if you're in heaven. And he's like, well, that explains why Richard Nixon's balls are on my face. And it was along those lines, but I just cracked up and then immediately started tearing up. And it was just the weirdest feeling, but it was kind of beautiful.
I mean, I feel like that's just a natural reaction to hearing about Richard Nixon's balls.
Yeah.
Every time I hear about Richard Nixon's balls, it's laughter and then just tears. And
it's natural.
then I get turned on.
Yep. And then when you bring Ronald Reagan into it, oh, forget it.
Oh,
Come everywhere.
Come inside my mind.
Oh my God. Full circle. Jesus. That's too good.
Whoops.
So, yeah, I think that about covers it.
All right, let me pick from this hat then.
Alrighty, you go for it, young man.
Oh, this movie similarly made me sob.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Really?
Flower.
Okay, I haven't seen it, so I have no context.
Excuse me, you haven't seen... Oh, oops, I put it back in.
You put the thing you just picked back in the hat?
I have to find it.
This is Matt.
Oh,
no,
I found
you can't
it immediately.
Peek. Okay, all right. Phew. Well, that could have been a disaster.
You haven't seen Flower?
No, I didn't even know there was a movie called Flower out this year.
What do you think Flower is about?
I can't even begin to guess, besides the obvious.
It's not what I thought it was about.
Is it about hippies?
No.
Okay.
It's... Boy, where do I begin? It's one of those movies where saying what it's about doesn't exactly key you in for the kind of experience you're having. It just goes in not necessarily the direction you expect that it's going to go in, but it's a fun ride because you have fun characters doing interesting things. You got Zoe Douche, I think.
Zoe Deschanel?
No. I think her last Deutch.
Douche, maybe?
Douche. Zoe Douche. I like Zoe Douche a lot. I've seen her in 2 movies only, but I like
what
her
else
a lot.
was she in?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. I liked her in this though, and she played a sexually promiscuous 17-year-old.
Oh.
So she drew a lot of dicks.
Oh.
It's just something you need to know.
Okay.
But basically, she just meets some folks and goes on an adventure. And that's a bad way of putting it. They're trying to catch a pedophile.
Whoa, I'm into it. Got my attention.
So it's just interesting stuff, and you want to see how this unfolds. You also have Tim Heidecker in it playing a nerdy dad.
Is it a comedy? A dark comedy?
Yeah, it is.
Wow, that sounds really nerdy dad chasing a pet. Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know that it necessarily wound up being the most cohesive whole of a movie, but
Gotcha.
I was satisfied with where it wound up. It was just fun. It was a good trip. I'd watch it again. It was fun. The performances were really good.
I want to ask if they catch the pedophile, but I don't want to spoil it for myself. I don't care about the audience getting spoiled, but maybe I can watch it myself.
It was good. And there was even some mystery as to whether or not it was a pedophile, and I don't know. I feel like it just had some interesting places to go. Here's the hat.
I just want the hat back. It's a SpongeBob reference for you youngins out there. Anyway, in this hat, I will find... Oh man. Much like Mamma Mia 2, this is a goofy, fun musical. And I went in skeptically at first, but by the end of it, I was tapping my foot along to the really catchy tunes of Skyscraper. Another movie I didn't see, but I know the premise enough to know it probably didn't have musical numbers in it.
Skyscraper wasn't good.
Okay.
I feel like it's wrong to call it a Die Hard ripoff.
That was my initial impression watching the trailer.
I mean, essentially, yeah, it's The Rock, and there's a building, and there's bad guys blowing things up in the building, and he has to save his family who's in the building.
Okay.
And it bothered me because I think about halfway through the movie, he winds up getting the mom and the son to safety, but not the daughter. I'm like, I don't know. Because the thing, I didn't really know the family at all. It's not like one seemed more important than the others. It'd be one thing if you really knew, the Rock and the daughter, they really have a bond here. So that's really especially bad that the daughter's gone.
Yeah.
But it just seemed kind of random. Like, why? It just have them all stay in the building or they all leave. I don't know. I don't care. But why the daughter? I don't know why that bothered me.
It is kind of weird. Like, how did they get divided? Like, did he choose, like, all right, you two go, you stay?
It was kind of stupid. I mean, he probably could have gotten all three of them out, but it just so happened that he was only able to save two, and then the daughter got kidnapped. He was like, my daughter! And the really annoying thing, I don't want to compare this to Die Hard, but in Die Hard, they're trying to get a bunch of money out of a safe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. In this, the terrorists are trying to get a jump drive that has some bad information on it that they want to get rid of.
That's not very dramatic.
And technically, that's probably equally valuable. I mean,
guess.
It protects their reputations and stuff like that. It could allow them to get a larger sum of money, but it doesn't have that impact.
No.
When, oh man, people are trying to steal $60 million. I'm like, oh my. Oh man, people are trying to steal my jump drive.
Oh no, you're gonna lose those Family Guy pirated episodes.
It doesn't have the impact. There is one interesting sequence at the end. There's this random fucking room that had no purpose for existing, where it's so stupid. Basically, there were a bunch of mirrors, and it was like a fun house, but they were hyper realistic mirrors where you'd look and you'd think that a reflection was actually the person there, but it wasn't, and that person was somewhere else. I have no idea how anyone could possibly be tricked into thinking there is a physical entity where there wasn't one, unless this was incredible science. But I feel like our senses are just too good at detecting this shit. Plus, you would hear that the voice is coming from somewhere else. So it didn't make any sense to me how it worked, or why they needed it in the building at all. We just got a fun house room, in a nice $1 billion skyscraper. You gotta have the fun house room. Whatever.
We also got a Ferris wheel for all the terrorists to ride.
Hey, why? They should have just had a carnival skyscraper.
Indoor carnival would be fucking great in a giant-ass building.
I would watch terrorists in a carnival. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, this basically was the climax to the Carnival movie with terrorists, but it was dumb, but after a movie where basically not much happens of any interest, having a scene like that where you're thinking, okay, I haven't necessarily seen anything like this maybe ever, or at least not very often, you kind of get into it a little bit, but it winds up being real stupid. It has the big ending where the bad guy has the daughter and he thinks he's talking to The Rock. The Rock says, just gotta tell you one thing. I'm actually behind you. Like, oh, it turned out The Rock was a reflection and he was actually behind him.
Oh.
But you kind of watch it thinking, okay, so The Rock's reflection was interacting with a bad guy that was in front of him, but he in reality was actually behind the bad guy. But he was perfectly making eye contact and the proper gestures in order to convincingly make the bad guy think he was in front of him. That's very nuanced. I'm very impressed, Rock.
He must have practiced a lot in that room. Like, all right, there's definitely going to be a situation where I have to trick someone using a reflection, so let me practice for hours.
It was bewilderingly dumb. I didn't even mention where The Rock has got to scale the building a little bit.
Yeah.
So you know what he uses?
What?
Duct tape.
What?
Yeah, he gets some nice sticky duct tape, puts on his hands and his feet, and he just duct tapes his way across the side of the building.
That's got to be pretty strong duct tape to hold a man who's like 200-something pounds of pure muscle.
I didn't believe it for one fucking second.
No.
That scene ends, and then they got to do another thing, and The Rock goes, got any duct tape? I'm like, oh man, good. He's
great.
It's gonna be used again.
Oh man, if he didn't have duct tape, what would he do?
The Rock, I don't know. He's affable enough, but
Yeah.
there's not a lot there. He needs a really good story for me to be interested in him, but usually he's just this really plain dude. It's like, hello, I'm very friendly. I'm like, okay, cool. Also, I have muscles, but I really care about people. Like, okay. Like, that's it.
That's all the nuance I'm capable of.
Okay.
I can be aggressive sometimes, but it's usually to people who deserve it.
I mean, I haven't seen all his movies, but that seems like the kind of movie that he wants to be in.
Yeah.
And Disney got him for Moana, and I really liked him in that, but he seems to just want to be in movies that Japan really likes. I think, or is it China? He's really big somewhere.
It might be China.
I think it might be China.
They have some interesting choices for blockbusters, like Transformers. They love Transformers.
But The Rock definitely seems intent on making plain movies.
He also, I remember when we were talking about Rampage, he was talking about wanting to rewrite the ending, or he wouldn't be in it, because he said his viewers like to see him in happy stuff.
Yeah, and the good news is no one died in this unless they were bad guy.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank goodness. Oh, the wife had an arc where in the very beginning, her phone wasn't working and The Rock went, you gotta turn it off and turn it on again. And then at the end, there was this really important gadget that had to work in order for the thing to be saved. And guess what? Gosh darn it, she turned it off and turned it on again.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, and it worked.
IT saves the day again.
Oh, wow, I'm glad the woman figured it out. That's great.
Yep.
But it was not enjoyable at all. You don't even get to see The Rock do too many stunts. At one point, you're seeing him scale some sort of construction doodah. I'm going, okay, I guess that's an impressive feat of using muscles. But that's about it. Take the hat.
All right, I will take this hat, and with it, I will do great things.
No, you won't.
Oh, okay. Okay, this movie, I'm not normally into, like, biblical mythology. I'm a very cynical person who doesn't trust religious text or religion, and I don't judge other people who do, but this movie made me almost want to get into religion. And this movie is The Cloverfield Paradox. We both saw this, so that's nice.
No, hold on. Please explain how this made you want to get into religion.
Well, for anyone who doesn't know, this is a movie, science fiction movie. It takes place in space, and they're in a space station, and scary things start to happen on the space station. And it made me want to get into Scientology.
You had an easy out there, you son of a bitch.
Got it.
Scientology, my ass. All right. I thought Cloverfield was a fun movie, and I really liked 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I loved it,
even
too.
the ending, which a lot of people poo-pooed, but I poo-pooed back upon them with my poo.
I mean, if the ending wasn't in there, it wouldn't have fit in the Cloverfield canon because it brought aliens into it.
Not that I even necessarily cared. I just liked it. You know, apparently it was not written to be in the Cloverfield canon, but they just went, fuck it. And yeah, maybe that was technically lazy.
That's an interesting realization.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was written as a separate movie, but then they just kind of decided, all right, let's make this a Cloverfield movie. But it might have been lazy, but I think it worked. I didn't necessarily think that there would be a Cloverfield universe, and after seeing a movie like that just felt really different from the first movie, I'm thinking, all right, I'm on board to see these really unique movies that are somehow vaguely tied into this universe. Cool. And technically, the Cloverfield Paradox also was a unique movie that was very removed from the first two movies, very much doing its own thing. I'm pretty sure that it was... Oh, no, I'm positive. It was supposed to be something else entirely. The God Particle, I think.
Right, that was the original title.
Yeah, and then they just decided, okay, let's make this a Cloverfield movie. And yes, from the sounds of it, it has the potential to be really interesting if it's good. But it wasn't.
Yeah, I wasn't really a fan of it either. I mean, normally I'm all about sci-fi horror because the Alien franchise is one of my favorite horror series, and things like Annihilation and just that blending of genres is just... It just usually works for me when it's done right, but this was not really done right.
I mean, I liked some of the horror moments. It was weird enough. At one point, someone disappeared and then they reappeared and a bunch of wires were going through them because they just reappeared into a bunch of wiring, I guess. And then someone's hand just came off and then just started moving around on its own and started writing things. Those are the two things I remember the most. I think there were maybe two other moments like that where I went, okay, that's fascinating imagery. That's not enough, though, to hold up an entire movie.
It did have some creative moments, but there were so many overused horror sci-fi tropes that, like, was being slammed on top of us. I didn't have time to really, like, enjoy the good moments, because, like, a minute later, it's just like, oh no, the space engine thing isn't working, and we have to go fix the space engine, and then they go fix it, and then a spooky thing happens, and it's just all these overdone cliches.
And I feel like I wanted to say it didn't have much of a story going for it because I'm trying to place exactly why I didn't like it. I mean, I can tell you just from a very rudimentary perspective, it was boring. It didn't entertain me enough.
Yeah.
I feel like there is potential here. I feel like there's an interesting story because they were kind of trapped in this other dimension, trying to get back home, and there was definitely thought put into this in different places. I feel like this could have been structured into something really gripping, but I just feel like key moments, maybe the exposition was dull, or maybe characters weren't interesting enough, or maybe it was just slow the way they were telling the story, but ultimately you weren't really there for the ride. You were there for those moments, those pops, but...
Yeah, for me, it didn't start off that great because it seemed kind of slow at first because the first scene I remember it being especially boring and seemingly unrelated to the rest of the movie is just a couple talking in a car for, I don't remember the exact amount of time, but it felt like too long, and they were dropping hints here and there about like potential aliens, but it's just like, why are we watching this couple in this car? This isn't this isn't Cloverfield-y, but then you remember that it wasn't initially Cloverfield, so I guess whatever.
And let's contrast. 10 Cloverfield Lane also had a sequence in the beginning where a couple was talking in a car. But this is much more interesting because you could tell that the woman was really frantic and she was trying to get away. It was very quick moving. Shot, shot, shot. It just kept going. You could tell that there was some conflict between the two of them. And then there was a big old crash. Kaboomo! So, did it a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
You just... There are things you can do when writing, and you only really figure it out while you're writing it to make things more entertaining, and I liked what was cooking, and I feel like there's a version of the Cloverfield Paradox that's good.
Maybe.
But this just wasn't quite it. It didn't feel finished. I think it was a little too rushed.
No, and the fact that it's supposed to be part of the same canon doesn't help, because you think to like a thing that has a established canon like Marvel, and the writers for that knew to tie in other Marvel things to really make a connection between these worlds so they're not completely separate. But in this, they're almost completely separate except for like one or two references. And in this, there was a giant monster that popped up at the end and ate a ship.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. That was the very last 5 seconds. And I'm is that the monster from the first movie? You don't really know. And I don't mind having a vague universe. I like the way Marvel does things, but I wouldn't mind if we had a lot of Cloverfield movies in the future that each just kind of throw in a piece, but you don't necessarily know how it fits together, and I don't think I'd even care if it all fit together.
Right.
I just like the idea of them being ever so slightly connected. It's fun just having very different stories that are marginally connected, but I guess there's potential for the movies to suck. You could take a bunch of movies and just make them Cloverfield movies. The shit we just talked about. Mamma mia, here we go again. Just throw fucking... maybe Meryl Streep was an alien the whole time. Like, oh shit!
And she starts attacking a city.
I'm saying, no, for real. All these movies, Flower and... The Bleeding Edge? Maybe not the... No, yeah, fuck it. The Bleeding Edge.
It turns out, yeah.
Okay, no, not Skyscraper.
The building is an alien.
Maybe not Robin Williams come inside my mind. That might not be appropriate.
That could be a
The Cloverfield Williams. But for real, that's what was established with 10 Cloverfield Lane, is that you can have very different movies and have them connected. Though I guess 10 Cloverfield Lane implied, at the very least, that they would all be horror movies. That doesn't have to be true, though, necessarily. I mean, fuck it. You could do really... What if you had a fucking musical that's really upbeat and somehow connected to the Cloverfield universe?
That'd be...
There's so much potential here. And that's the thing, yeah, the Cloverfield Paradox kind of sucked. But at the very least, you have the groundwork here for some really ambitious big swings. And I'm almost willing to forgive the Cloverfield Paradox if I get to see some more big swings in the future.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Look out, a hat!
Oh, wow. That hat almost got me. Well, I better reach in and see what it has for me.
Sorry to startle you there.
That's
I just
okay.
wanted to make sure you were aware of the hat's presence.
It happens. All right, what do we got here?
It hat pins.
Oh, me oh my. Okay, so this film, a really solid animated picture that uses stop motion. And you don't see stop motion enough these days. People rely too much on 3D animation. You don't even get 2D that much. But this is stop motion, claymation, and this is...
You're taking a real gamble here, because do you even know if there's a stop motion movie in this hat?
I don't think so.
Let's see. All right, you got real low odds, but let's see if you wind up being right.
And this claymation classic is the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. Okay, good.
Thanks for playing, bud.
I'm glad it wasn't actually claymation, because then the joke wouldn't be as funny.
No, it would be amazing.
It would be.
Lily James was also in this movie.
Wow, you remembered her name this time.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah.
This was a hilarious Holocaust movie.
Oh, that's always two things that go together.
It's technically true. It was
It's funny?
Yeah, it was sprightly enough. There were definitely comedic moments, but it also definitely had the backdrop of the Holocaust.
Was it set in like a concentration camp?
No, it wasn't that serious, but it was kind of aftermath Holocaust stuff, and it was just a nice, pleasant, romantic comedy drama, I suppose.
Huh. In the Holocaust.
Yeah, the Holocaust was the drama part, not the romance part.
Okay, I was wondering.
Just in case, and not the comedy part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta clarify that.
Yeah, but I don't know. It wasn't anything special necessarily. Nothing made me laugh that much. Nothing made me cry that much. I don't have that much to say about it.
Why did it have that title? Is that because of the club she joined had that title?
Yes, that was the name of the club.
Did they peel potatoes?
No, it's potato peel pie. So yes, potatoes were peeled, but that was to create a pie.
Oh.
This doesn't matter. Don't ask this.
I remember seeing the title and thinking to myself, that is one of the worst fucking titles I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it's definitely boring, which is unfortunate because you look at it and it's definitely unique, but you have the Guernsey. I'm like, okay, Guernsey is not a word I care tremendously about.
Not a good start.
Where is that piece of fucking paper? I can't even remember
the whole title.
Yeah.
It's a bit lengthy.
The Guernsey Literary. Okay, well, Guernsey wasn't great, and I was really relying on another word following it to get me going. Literary isn't doing that.
No.
The Guernsey Literary and... Oh, hold on.
Whoa, and...
Now, I was pretty disappointed with the Guernsey Literary, but now there's the promise of something new happening here.
Oh boy,
So
spice it up.
I'm willing to extend some credit here. Let's give this another shot. The Guernsey Literary and Potato.
Ooh.
We've definitely gone in a direction I wasn't expecting.
But is it a good direction?
We started with Guernsey Literary, so I'm thinking, all right, this must have to do with the setting where you're reading. But now you've said potato. Potato is not the most appealing vegetable.
No.
But it certainly goes in a new direction.
Yeah.
So what's going on here? The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel. Okay. This is not even the potato. Potato is actually an adjective describing peel.
Oh my Jesus.
So this has become very boring.
Yeah.
But now at this point, I am 6 words in, if you count the ampersand as a word. So let's just finish this one out. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie. Oh, shit. Well, hold on. It looks like potato peel itself was an adjective modifying pie.
Whoa.
So it's a pie made out of potato peels.
That sounds gross.
That sounds unique, but also still really fucking boring.
Yeah.
They've combined 2 incredibly different but equally uninteresting ideas together.
Yep.
But there's one more word.
Oh boy, what could it be?
The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society.
Huh. Okay, it's pretty
So,
generic.
There's a gathering of people that have committed themselves to these riveting ideas.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really boring title.
Yeah.
But there's definitely something to it. It's almost furiously boring. Like, whoa, just calm down. Like,
we get it. You're boring. Take it easy.
Yeah, come on. Jeez, just back up.
Whoa.
Like, step outside.
It's like if a movie was called, I don't know.
Yeah, basically. So I'll give it that credit. But unfortunately, the story itself, well, not even necessarily unfortunately, the story itself is not as inventive or aggressive as the title is. It's just a very simple tale that happens to take place during the Holocaust. And you learn about people, you like the people enough, and they do things. That's about it. It's based on a book.
Okay.
I heard the book was good. And people seem to like the movie too. And Lily James is great. I like Lily James a lot.
That's cool.
I like Lily James.
All right. I get it.
Lily James.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Lily James. Yep.
Sorry.
Do you happen to be romantically interested in Lily James?
Time for me to pick from the hat.
Okay.
All right. This movie.
Hmm?
The song about Lily James.
Oh, man, I'm already not into it.
This movie, I thought I liked Lily James, but when I saw the performance from the lead in this movie, I went, oh, wow, all right, I've got a new crush here. Fahrenheit 451.
You didn't see it. I did.
Do I have a good crush?
That depends. Do you like Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, okay.
Also Michael Shannon.
That's a good pair of Michaels.
Yeah. That is two
Those are the
Michaels.
kind of Michaels you want.
It's two really talented Michaels. But anyways, did you read the book Fahrenheit 451?
Do I look like someone that reads books that have numbers in the title?
Sometimes.
Oh, well, thank you. No, I didn't read this.
Okay. I didn't actually read it either, so we're both in the same boat. But I did read the Wikipedia summary, so I could compare and contrast between the movie and the book. And the book...
Well, yes, I guess. I don't know anything about either of them.
Okay. So the premise is it takes place in a dystopian future where books are considered dangerous, whether they're fictional, whether they're non-fiction, whether they're about philosophy, even like math. Everyone's just like, burn them all because they can promote dangerous ideas.
Oh, shit. So how would the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society function in this universe?
They'd have to just be the Potato Peel Society.
Ah, jeez.
Or the Guernsey Potato Peel Society. It doesn't have the same ring as those other words added on.
This is sounding like the Holocaust, is all I'm saying.
I mean, there are clear allusions to the Nazis, because the Nazis, say what you want about them, but they didn't care for literature.
You know, I'm just going to say it. I don't know about these Nazis.
They're, I got some weird feelings about them, but, they famously burned books, and I think that's where Ray Bradbury took some of his inspiration. This is a totalitarian government that does not want its citizens feeling unsatisfied. So instead, they give the people drugs to keep them dumbed down, and instead of giving them books to read, they give them, like, short little summaries, like, hey, Moby Dick, there's a guy, and he harpoons a whale, and that's it.
So, essentially, they're reading Wikipedia summaries.
I'd say they're reading tweets.
Okay.
That are like a plot summary.
So
But
you've almost put yourself in a similar circumstance.
but I read other books. So
Yes, you do. You do. You are in your own society.
yeah. But anyways, this quote-unquote fireman who likes to burn books, he discovers the magic of literature by stumbling upon a book, and he's just like, oh, what the fuck is this thing? But then he goes home into his private residence, and he looks at it, and he's just like, oh, this is pretty good. And so he joins a group of people who, want to preserve literature and kind of rebel against the government.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I didn't realize, when I heard Fahrenheit 451, or is it 451? How is it pronounced exactly?
I don't actually know.
What does it mean?
It's the degrees it takes for a book to burn.
Oh, wow. Huh.
With like a flamethrower.
Cool.
Yep.
But, yeah, I wouldn't have thought that it had anything to do with books, but I like that. How old is this book?
It's from the 1950s.
I've definitely fucking heard of this before then. I thought it was sort of a recent book that was off my radar.
No.
This is a classic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a sci-fi classic.
Fucking knew it. I fucking know this story. I didn't read it. But yes.
You also read the Wikipedia summary and just forgot?
No. I've heard of it just through osmosis. I have heard that this is a famous book. Because I'm like, you were telling me about this book burning thing. I'm like, oh, that reminds me of that other classic thing. And I'm like, oh, no, they're the same thing.
Classic thing.
So they just recently made a movie about it, or was there a movie before?
They made a movie in 1966 that was an adaptation. And it was a lot more faithful to the original work. And it was by, I think, Francois Truffaut, French director. And I didn't see that one, but it looked pretty good, and I think it would have been a lot better than this.
Did this one take place in 2018?
This took place, I'd say, like 30 or 40 years in the future, because also what is basically amounts to Amazon's Alexa is everywhere, kind of.
Okay, because I don't know this, but I assume in the original book, it technically took place in the future, like an alternate dystopian future.
Right.
Where you didn't necessarily know what kind of technology there would be. But now we know what kind of technology there is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is a really difficult book to adapt.
And they didn't do that great.
Well, how can you when you know what kind of technology there is in the future that basically Kindle exists? It's a really hard story to actually tell.
I feel like the best way to do it is do an alternative history type thing where you do it in our modern day, but like if back in the 1950s the government started doing that fucked up like censorship shit.
You need a really good title right before the movie saying different timeline. Okay?
And just to be clear, there aren't presidents anymore. That's how different it is.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Bye.
That clears everything up. It had moments that were like, that could have been very interesting, but the writing was very convoluted. And again, the whole adapting thing, they tried too hard to make it modern day. One example of that is there's always streaming going on. People are always recording the firemen. They never really have a moment of privacy. And every time you see a fireman on a big screen, you see like hearts go up and smiley faces, like they're giving emoji reactions to everything happening. And you see them like burn books, and you see a woman burned to death trying to protect her books, and you're seeing smiley faces pop up because they're like, yeah, burn the fucking degenerate who likes books. And it was just like, the emoji thing's a bit much. And then there was basically the Alexa thing where like, it's like, oh, hello, firemen, how are you today? And they're just like, Alexa, turn off. It wasn't really Alexa, but...
Well, I feel like that wouldn't be annoying if this wasn't a movie where technology that is happening in the modern day is a big flaw. Because this is about books in their physical form not being around. And the more technology you see, the more you're reminded, well, they're digital books.
Though they do destroy hard drives and stuff, so they're not limited to destroying just books. They also destroy modern stuff like films.
Yeah, but I mean, what's the Fahrenheit temperature? It's got to be Fahrenheit 451 and 678.
To melt a hard drive.
Yeah, you need to include the Fahrenheit for hard drive, too.
That's true.
You got two different kinds of books here.
It should have, yeah.
Come on. Maybe add them up.
Yeah. Fahrenheit 1023.
That's catchy. I like that. But because I don't know why the fact there'd be technology would be bothersome. I mean, maybe just seeing emojis always kind of hurts.
Yep.
But do you think that's what it was? It was just sort of the pain of seeing modern day simplification of things?
It was just they were trying too hard to make it relevant when they could have just relied on the words themselves, the text itself, to bring it to life. They were trying too hard to connect it to our present, and they're just like, oh, look at how close we are to that presently with the current administration. Ooh. And that's not what they're implying, but that's kind of what the writer intended, releasing it in this time. That's why they were like, hey, we should make this again since it's been like 50 years.
Gotcha. Well, they tried.
And they succeeded momentarily, but it was mostly just...
Well, what's the Fahrenheit required to burn this movie?
Probably like 600-700.
It's just 4.
4 degrees Fahrenheit.
You know what, Nick? I think we got time to do a couple more movies. You want to plunge your hand into this hat right here?
Well, if you don't mind, I'll go right on ahead. All right, let me get a good old rustling. Russell. Kurt Russell, to be precise.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Russell is a verb, and it's also...
How about you shut the fuck up and just pick a movie?
The last name of an act... Never mind. Okay, so this film... I mean... It's a classic. Everyone knows it. You know it. I know it. It's going to be an Oscar winner. And without further ado, the Zen Diaries of Garry Shandling. I guess I was hoping it'd be a bad movie, but...
You don't think the Zen Diaries of Garry Shandling is a bad movie?
I didn't finish it because it's, 4 hours?
Yeah.
It's a 4-hour movie. I started it. And since it's on HBO, I can start it whenever I want. It's not a movie you have to watch all the way through.
I didn't know you had HBO.
Yeah.
When?
I'm using my girlfriend's.
Oh.
My girlfriend's dad's. Specifically. but she uses my Netflix, so it evens out.
Oh, okay. Wow, all right. So how far in did you get?
About half an hour, and I really like it.
Hey! All right, so you've seen half an hour of it, and I saw the whole thing. And is it safe to say you wanted to watch it because I gave it a glowing recommendation?
Yeah, and I also watched a few episodes of The Larry Sanders Show, and Garry Shandling, from what I can tell, is a really interesting comedian and artist.
Now, let me share my little personal story about Garry Shandling.
Oh, yes.
So... I sometimes like to kind of poke fun at celebrity culture by pretending to be really into celebrities that to me seem totally unimportant. And one celebrity that I was doing this with was Garry Shandling. Now, I didn't grow up with Garry Shandling. At the time, it seemed the only thing he had really done of any worth was being in Over the Hedge as a voice. And then he was in
Iron Man?
Winter Soldier and Iron Man, I guess.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he had a vague part in the Marvel universe.
Yep.
So he didn't really seem tremendously important. And I thought it'd be hilarious to just keep talking about Garry fucking Shandling. Like, yeah, my man, Garry Shandling.
It was a good joke. He really leaned into it.
Yeah, and yeah, technically it is a joke at the expense of, haha, you're not that important. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So he died. And yes, I will admit, I made a few. Oh, rest in peace. Heaven has another angel. And, you know, a little insensitive. But I saw there was a documentary out. The Zen Diaries of Garry Shandling. A 4-hour fiesta. And I went, I have to watch it.
Naturally.
I have to commit to the bit here.
Yeah, for your memes.
So I watched it. And I had no idea that Garry Shandling lived such an accomplished life. Not just that, but the way he operated as a person was so similar to the way I operate. Like, I will manically take notes all the time about my thoughts. And he did the exact same thing. That was essentially his Zen Diaries. That's what that was referring to. And I felt such a bizarre kinship with him. And it was so weird learning about this person that I had essentially been trolling as an unimportant person. I'm suddenly being inspired by him. But this is the craziest thing. Garry Shandling was the kind of person who had a unique sense of humor. Like, he had a sitcom that was essentially a parody of sitcoms. And then the Larry Sanders Show, it was essentially a show about a talk show instead of a talk show. So he kind of had interesting angles on humor. I feel like Garry Shandling is the kind of person that would appreciate the very joke I was making about Garry Shandling. About taking ordinary celebrity culture and applying it to someone that didn't seem very important.
Yeah.
It's this weird, almost paradoxical, ironic situation where he, with all his accomplishments, would be proud to know that I was making a joke that couldn't actually function in reality now that I know what Garry Shandling has accomplished.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. But it was a trip, man. And just as a documentary, it's solid. Garry Shandling lived a really interesting life. But even stylistically, the way it was put together was especially engaging. Because it really was just sort of a biopic, just showing, all right, he did this, he did this, he did this. But it was a really engaging, tranquil way. The fact that they would show excerpts of his inner thoughts that were written in his diaries, I thought that was such a brilliant way to really take something that might seem a little ordinary and invest us in it a lot more than we might have. Because you just get to feel the thoughts of someone that's no longer with us. And these were intimate things he was writing.
Did they have someone narrate it?
No. You read it.
Just the words.
Which was also a great choice. It would have been weird having a Garry Shandling reenactor. Hi.
No, I mean, like, what I was thinking was, like, would the filmmaker Judd Apatow have read it? Because he had a very, from what I can tell, close connection to Garry Shandling, right?
Yeah.
But
there wasn't narration or anything like that.
Gotcha.
You should know that from the first half hour, Buster.
Well, I didn't really see the diary. I saw him reveal his diaries, but I didn't see him anything read from them.
But I don't know. It is a commitment, but honestly,
it's worth it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was just fascinating. I admit, for me and where I was coming from, it was especially gripping. I don't know what it'd be like for the ordinary person that does not have the relationship to Garry Shandling that I did.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's some solid filmmaking about a very entertaining person.
And you don't really feel the 4 hours too much?
I didn't know.
Okay.
I wanted more.
Oh, wow.
Begging for more.
A whole fucking series.
Fill my dog bowl with more Shandling.
Well, your dog bowl?
I'm a dirty boy. What do you want?
A dirty dog boy for Garry.
Bark for Shandling.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So you're into it so far.
I'm gonna finish it. It's just a very gradual process. Because I also have, now that we've reviewed this, it's now lower on my list of things to watch.
You were only seeing it because you wanted to be able to talk about it on the show, right?
No, I was seeing it also for my own interest, but that was a big part of it. Yeah.
I knew it. So you must have been slightly bummed to realize you pulled that out of the hat.
Yeah, I was looking at it, I'm just like, oh, fuck. Well, there goes.
You should have finished it way earlier, man.
I know. I just...
You let go of the Shandling.
Life got in the way.
You could have lost 3.5 hours of sleep to finish that Shandling piece.
You know what? You're right, and I'm going to regret that for the rest of my days on this earth.
Yeah.
Sorry, Garry.
Now there's an angel in heaven weeping. On that note, I think I'll pick from the hat.
Oh, all right.
And there is a chance that I'm going to pick a movie that you've seen that I haven't seen yet, so maybe it'll even out.
Maybe, but if it doesn't, that's fine.
There are very, very slim chances that's going to happen.
Yeah, you're a movie master over here.
But this movie right here, I'm going to say this. I saw it 20 times in a row.
Whoa, that's excessive.
20 times in a row.
Wow.
That's how amazing it was. And that movie was like Father.
I don't really know the premise. I just know it looks like a weird, I assume, like, movie about a relationship between a father and a daughter.
You've heard of it?
I saw it on Netflix passing by. I'm like, that looks like a boring family drama comedy. I'm going to keep going.
Who's the strapping young lad that's in
I'm
it?
going to assume it's either Kelsey Grammer
Kelsey Grammer,
or
that's
John
it.
Lithgow.
John. Wait, were you guessing?
Yeah.
You had no idea.
No, I remember seeing a old guy who's a comedian person. So
Yeah,
it's either one of those two.
It was Kelsey Grammer.
Okay, gotcha.
Kelsey Grammer, Kristen Bell, and you get a little dose of Seth Rogen in there. Just hey.
Is he the mailman?
No.
Is he
What?
the milkman?
What the fuck are you talking about?
I just figure he'd make a fun cameo.
No, I mean, he's the third build character. He's
Oh.
kind of in it for a little while, but it's
Okay.
mostly those two main characters.
Gotcha.
And they have a dysfunctional relationship, and they learn to forgive each other and love each other. Because the dad was out of his daughter's life, and then got back in the life. And the daughter's sort of I'm a career gal. I gotta get my career going. But then she's left at the altar, and she's like, oh, geez, what's going on here?
Nuts.
And I mean, there's an interesting premise here is that essentially the dad shows up at this wedding. They wind up getting drunk, and the husband and wife, or were going to be husband and wife, were supposed to go on this big honeymoon cruise. And drunkenly, the dad winds up going on the cruise with the daughter that he was estranged from. You're like, wow, all right, there's a lot of potential here for some interesting stuff.
Was there?
No.
Okay.
It was all right. It just, I don't know. I thought, wow, there's going to be a lot of bang, bang, bang here. And what I got was poof, poof, poof. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess maybe I don't know what I was expecting here. There was one interesting kind of raunchy joke that kept coming up, though, is that because the reservations were made as husband and wife, people kept mistaking the dad as the husband. And there were more than one jokes about them fucking each other. And I'm like, I'm into it.
I'm into dad-daughter stuff. That's my kink.
They had great chemistry. That's all I'm saying. Actually, it was only okay.
Was it great chemistry?
Oh, jeez.
Sorry.
Oh, man. What have you done? What have you done to Like Father?
Oh, no.
My movie!
I've ruined your movie of the year.
But outside of the premise, it was just pretty standard. Two characters that, I mean, the two characters kind of have the it factor, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kristen Bell is an engaging personality, the very same with Kelsey Grammer. So that really does help carry a lot of it, but it can only do so much.
Right.
So ultimately, I don't know. Just kind of have Like Father.
Like father. Like son.
Father, like I'm done.
Instead of son.
And I think we're done with talking about all these fucking movies.
Okay. Well, that went fine, I guess.
Yeah. And you know what else is going to go fine?
What?
Going to Fisher Miss Media for all of your audio needs. It's true.
Oh.
You seemed quizzical, but...
Yeah, I was thinking. I'm just like, really?
Well, let me convince you why. Because Fisher Miss Media is tight with Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
Yes. They have done a large amount of Hollywood movies before. The audio stuff. And they want to keep doing it. I mean, they're going to keep doing it. And you should have your movies be involved.
Yep.
Also, they do all the other audio stuff, too. Like music and stuff. So come on down to Fisher Miss Media and get yourself an audio time. I should not have added that on.
That's gonna stick.
It's gonna make us seem like shit musicians.
Oh man.
Well, now I feel
That's not a
bad.
good example. That does not represent us as a band.
No,
That is just.
I could have put way more into that. I just
Do you want to try again?
I wasn't feeling it.
Do you want to try again?
It's a fucking ad. I'm not gonna be into it. You know what I mean?
I mean, you can try.
No, I'm
Give
not.
it a shot.
Fuck you. What the fuck are you pushing this
Sorry,
for?
you seemed disappointed. I was trying to raise you up, make you feel better.
I'm not going to put Blinkity Bloop levels of energy into Blinkity Bloop. Let's
I'm
save
not
that for the
saying
band.
you have to put Blinkity Bloop levels into Blinkity Bloop. I'm saying put, a few notches below Blinkity Bloop, the band, and as a jingle.
I'm not going to fucking do a jingle.
Okay, all right, well.
we'll rehearse. Are you good with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right.
Okay. Gosh.